Mark, what was your first experience with business? Like, how did you ever get a job in your life, or you went right into business right away? How was your story?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess my first business was collecting beer cans, as I said. But honestly, no, my parents believed in education. My mother was a teacher, my father, a physician, and they took the path of education to be able to accelerate beyond what the generation prior to them was able to accomplish. And therefore, of course, it's natural that they wanted for me the same thing. They wanted for me to be able to accelerate beyond and continue the momentum going forward. And my personal belief is that is a true statement. However, I will make a distinction between academic education and experiential education. And it just turns out I'm an experiential learner. I can read a book. I can do this and I can do that. I'm not that great of a test taker. But the situation was I made it through college, and I tried to honor their intentions and their wishes for my life. So I had a finance degree, made it through college, got a finance degree. Didn't really like college. The main reason I got a finance degree is because a good friend of mine was also had that major, and I wanted to hang out with him.
That's awesome.
So I did what any, aspiring college student would do once he finally gets his sheepskin, is I hit the road and I started asking for a job. Well, I lived in a suburb of Fort Worth at the time, but I ended up landing a job in Irving, which is close to Dallas. So I started working for this mortgage company. It didn't take me long to realize that the corporate world, the larger corporate world, was not to my liking. There were politics, there were all kinds of things that I found rather disturbing. And I couldn't have ever known it until I lived it. But I was hired by a friend of mine to work in the medical supplies industry in the accounting department. I did that for a while. Then it was during then that I got married. Then the timeline continues. That company was bought by another medical company. I was imported. My job survived. But by that time, David, I'd pretty much figured out that if I don't at least try to do my own business, then I'm really, really going to regret it. Mm-hmm. So it was that fear of regret that got me off the dime. Plus, Julie was doing so well in her career at the time. My wife is brilliant in many aspects. She was a CPA and working in as a treasurer for an up and growing company. So we had that financial cushion. Anyway, I bought my first franchise in '95. I went to work there, realized this is very, very hard to do. And if I got paid at all, I got paid last. And it took a lot of work just to get to the point where I could pay the bills and keep my head, even and just tread water. So then, lo and behold, we get pregnant with a child, and lo and behold, life changes. But I had a failed acquisition. I tried to acquire a larger printing company. Everything was in alignment. I had a holding company backing me up, but the acquisition ultimately failed. So I ended up merging with another franchise, and I'll try to say this story quickly. I did not realize that franchise was underwater, so I jumped out of the frying pan into the fire. Wow. Yeah, I went from bad to worse. It was just going straight downhill. Finally, the bank comes, closes the doors. We can't even get in. So there I am. I have no job. I have no income. I was able to dispose of the assets of my original franchise to the point we could pay our car off. So there you go. That was my big win for my first entrepreneurial venture. We actually paid off a car.
And how many years did you invest in that?
Well, 95 is when I began, October of 95. It was 2.5 years into it when I was pursuing that acquisition that occupied my attention and energy to the point that my business started to slide. And then when the acquisition failed, I thought, well, I've got to merge in with this other one to see if we can make it together. I didn't realize they were financially upside down. So this all happened. And then finally, when it went bankrupt, there was another company that hired me to be in sales for printing services, which is the franchise that I was in, Minuteman Press. So I went to work for them just to be able to get a paycheck. They were good people. I'm grateful for that opportunity. Got hired by another printing company, a little higher end. And then a friend of mine, out of the blue, I had gone to church with him. We played in a Christian rock band together.
Nice.
And he calls me out of the blue and say, hey, Mark, there's this janitorial thing that I've been doing for a while, but somebody bought it. They turned the model upside down and it's not working anymore. Would you like to talk about going into the janitorial business? Well, it probably hit me similar in a way that it would hit you, that probably anything at that point is worth considering. So I said, sure, let's do it. So within probably 3 months, we had formed the company. I used my prior company to pull it in. I put in seed capital, a whole $4,000 the company. I knew that it wasn't going to pay me for a while because it was going to take a time for us to bootstrap and build the company. But that was the approach that I had taken. I was determined not to borrow a lot of money to put financial stress on my wife and I. Anyhow, it started to get traction and we started hiring people. And 2 years later, I finally can afford to pay me to get into the company. Well, it got more traction. And about 5-6 years after that, we made the Inc. 5000 list.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the next year we did it again. We were breaking records, breaking our own records. And this is what's interesting, and I would say borderline miraculous in our case. And honestly, David, in hindsight, I don't even know how I did it. That $4,000, yeah, there you go. Well, it wasn't me that did it. That's how I did it. That $4,000 is the only money I ever put into the company, and I never borrowed a penny. So we built our company completely out of that initial seed capital, just by deferring our own payments down the road, but we never had any debt. So we ended up being debt free. Then the mergers and acquisitions people start knocking on the door. I couldn't believe how many people were interested in the little BFS. You know, I thought, how do you even know we exist?
Right.
Well, because of the Inc. 5000 and a couple other national recognition programs, I guess we got on some list. And then the kind of the rest is history. We sold in 21 at a reasonable multiple. My partner that I went into business with, it was kind of an informal arrangement between he and I. I made sure that he was taken care of from the initial proceeds that came in so he could go do his own thing. It marked his exit from the business. I continued. And I went through my earnout period. We made 100% earnout, for which I am also very, very grateful.
You know what? That's not easy, right? That earnout process is usually 2 years, and the entrepreneur becomes so miserable that the company doesn't do that well, so they don't get the 100% earnout. So that's another blessing, right?
The blessings just keep coming. And it was still hard, and there's still elements that I didn't like, and I kind of felt myself being caught up and absorbed into a big company mindset again. I was thinking, oh my goodness, here we go again. But how do you argue with people who keep their word to you? And they did keep their word to me. So I have faith that not my final bite of the apple, if you will. They will keep their word to me there as well. It's just a different program now in my succession plan because I'm used to being kind of the center hub of information, of decision making, of all these things. And it's just a weird thing when you wake up and now you're something else. and you don't know how to be something else, you know? So you wake up and you look around. I may have mentioned the other day, some days I wake up, I don't even know what day it is.
That's beautiful.
I just look around thinking, what is going on here? So that's not to say I'm not busy. I'm still quite busy with our properties, investments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're taking care of our parents. We have much more of an active role there. We have our first grandchild, so we have things going on with our family. My wife completed her master's program. She's now a certified counselor. So she's moving into that next, and I'm so immensely proud of what she's been able to accomplish. I tell everybody I put 3 ladies through a master's program, but I didn't get one. So
you got the most important one. Your first 2.5 years of business failure is worth 10 times a master's program. And I tell you this from a billionaire. I was watching this interview, and this kid, he said, okay, I have $100,000. I have 2 options. I can go get an MBA or start up a business. And the billionaire told him, start up a business and lose all the money. Don't lose it on purpose. Try to make it. But if you lose all the money, you're going to get 10 times more teaching than going to get an MBA. Don't get me wrong. This is not for normal people. This is for people that want to own their own business, right?
Yep. You're absolutely right. You know, and they have me come talk to a couple of the colleges here local, UTA and TCU. And I'm so grateful that they allow me to share my experiences with the kids. But I tell them the same thing, David. I tell them, go out and fail. If you're going to go fail now, because the education and what you learn through that experience, don't, like you said, don't intentionally fail. But if you're going to fail now, because the intellectual property you will earn from doing that, not only there, but even, I think, even spiritually, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that, I think, applies, you know, up here as well as right down here. So I agree with you 100%. If it weren't been for that, those struggling years, I don't think I would have been able to make the decisions later that were productive.
Exactly, Mark. And also, there is nothing more important in your life as a person that facing hardship. The troubles in life is what the Lord uses to get you to the next level.
Right.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, count it all joy when you're going through these difficult times, because the bigger picture is it could serve a purpose much bigger than you can see in that moment.
You know, Mark, I have another podcast. It's a business podcast. And I keep telling people, you have to have certain type of faith in order to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't really know how you're going to pay for the electricity or do payroll. And sometimes you get so much money that you also don't know how to manage that, because people think that's not a problem, but it's actually it's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
If you are on top of a whole bunch of money and you don't do what the Lord asks you to do with that, that's the beginning of your total collapse and disaster.
Yeah, I have to agree. You know, it takes so long to earn it, but boy, can you lose it in a hurry. So I totally understand. I totally agree. So yeah.